Hi, we are here with Catherine Texier, and she wrote this excellent book, After David. And it is coming. When does it come out?
It's coming out in May 14th.
May 14th, 2024.
Right.
And it is on, did you say it? Itna
It's
Press?
not press, right?
Itna Press. Are you publishing this as fiction or memoir?
It's fiction. It's a fiction. I mean,
Okay.
there's some elements that are personal from my life, but it is entirely fictionalized. So it's a novel.
I don't like the word memoir. I don't like autofiction either,
Well,
but
it's closer. It's so closer to that because I mean, probably because I come from the French culture. I'm close to the what's being published right now in France, and there there is no difference when you publish in France, whether it doesn't say, sometimes it does, but novel or memoir. It's more like often they use the word récit, which is RECIT, which means a tale. So so in other words, nobody's going to check up on you to see, well, is this true? Is this not true? And I
wow.
feel close. I mean, I guess you could say it's closer to autofiction, but it's really a lot of stuff from my life that I've is definitely, but it's also very fictionalized. So I wouldn't say it's a memoir.
Do you also see it as like a part two or a continuum of a breakup?
Right, right. I understand. I thought it was funny because it's kind of a number of years later.
Right?
It's the same, I use that same my character as my as the protagonist for sure. And there is a husband that is, it's a recently divorced woman, which was not true in my case because I was been divorced for more than 20 years. And the ex-husband is called David, which I think is the same name that I use in breakup.
You didn't check.
I didn't check, but I think even though the breakup was written as almost like a letter to you, but it's almost like the symbol of the ex-husband.
When we meet Eve, she's very much within her success as a mother, self-sufficient, providing for her family, healthy social life.
Mhm.
Her kids are going off and entering into that empty nester
Right,
period.
right.
Um, but I'm so struck by, well, and also what the controversy that Eve is experimenting or exploring, dating younger men.
Right.
And what has been the reaction that you found?
In the book, well, Eve is very surprised that because she dates online, she's, decided to try it out. So she's constantly being approached by younger men. I mean, she's in her 60s, early 60s, and they're in their 30s, some of them in their 20s even.
Mhm.
And so she's very surprised and thrilled. But her daughter, the younger daughter, one who's 22, the one who's going to leave, was leaving for I mean, just finished college, and now she's moving on in the book. She's moving to be with a roommate in Bushwick, and
Mhm.
when she's sort of guesses that her mother might be dating online, she even thinks she's on Tinder, or there was Tinder. Uh,
Mhm.
she finds the app Tinder on her iPhone, her mother's iPhone. She's appalled by that. So, and also there is a scene because Eve is a writer and she's trying to write that memoir. In the book, it's a memoir, novella rather, about this affair she has with this young jazz musician who's in his 30s. So she reads from that book in progress in a sort of a writing group that she belongs to. And one of the men, particularly who's gay, is really very. He doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it's possible for a younger man to be attracted to an older woman, and so she gets a lot of pushback.
And I just want to clarify when you're saying she, Eve, And Eve is how old at this
She's
time?
in her early 60s.
Okay, and I need to ask, was that true? Is that something that happened to you?
Well, definitely. I mean, the book is absolutely based on my experience with
Right.
online. Absolutely, yes.
I have to say, I loved that scene, and your honesty about it is mind-blowing because you're sitting there reading it's a novella, it's fiction, and the men in the group are being so misogynistic
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
fucked up and mocking and just inappropriate, letting loose their own personal um beliefs, bias, and you're sitting there trying to keep it under control.
Mhm.
And do you think any of the women kind of figured it out, or
Oh, you
in
mean
the
whether it
group?
was based on something real? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, actually, the book, Eve is not presenting this as a memoir, but as a
Right,
novella. So
right,
I don't know what they're thinking. Actually, I don't know if they're supposed to think that it's true or not true. But Eve is afraid that they read through her, and
right.
that they see that, my God, this happened, and she humiliated herself.
When did this group take place?
Oh, okay. That question. Yeah,
Mhm.
because this scene did happen in real life. Um, Maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very honest that you put it in there because it allows for readers who might be having that reaction
Hmm.
that
Right. Right.
uh because there probably would be some readers who have that reaction um to see what they're thinking on the page.
Right. Yeah, no,
And
absolutely. And that's why I decided to write that scene because, yeah, I mean, there's another scene actually where, but it's not a, when Eve goes to a reading and she overhears two women in front of her who is probably were probably around her age, but they don't, I mean, not that she dresses in any sexual way particularly, but the women that are in front of her are clearly decided that it was not for them, or that, to be still attractive. And they talk about a woman dressing up as lamb. No, what is the expression that is used? A lamb dressing up as mutton. I think that's
right,
the
right, right, right,
right.
right, right. Or
And
maybe
so there's a lot of misogyny coming from women as well.
right, right. And
With like,
internalized. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is
very
that
much.
you're not, at a certain age, you have to sort of not wanting to be attractive or seductive.
What I really loved is here she is a 60-year-old woman, and I am not flooded with, oh my God, this might show. I have to camouflage that. I have to make sure he doesn't touch this or that. It was just like there's a pride. You talk about walking around naked in your house.
Yeah. Mhm. No, you're right. I mean, there is actually, I remember originally, even before it was published, some pushback as well. And some people who'd read it in the publishing world that, this is not believable. I mean, I don't know it, and I wouldn't even say, well, personally, it's because I'm French, because it's more complicated. But yeah, in that sense, I'm close to Eve. I mean, she doesn't have any issue about. She thinks it's fine. Everything, it's totally fine. That she doesn't have to hide anything because she's older or whatever. She has none of that.